just wanted to say, well, both to Tua and Njambi, thank you for sharing your stories with us. That's really brave of you to share them. And they're just, I can't believe you've had to go through all that experience at such a young age, Tua, and that you've come out of it and being so positive. I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
And same for Njambi. I'm going to get your book as well. Thank you for sharing your stories. I think it is really important that we hear these stories, just to find out what's happening across the rest of the world. Although London is very liberal, I'm from Ireland, and I know it's been more liberal in the past couple of years, but 20 years ago and 30 years ago it wasn't. So it's good to see progress being made here and there, and hopefully change will happen in other countries as well.
Thank you very much.
I was wondering, do you think that's because there's homophobia within the immigration department, or do you think that's racism, or is it just not possible to split the two?
Well, to be sincere, I really don't know. They just said to me I was lying. Yes, they just said to me in the letter that they don't believe, and that it's all depend to the judge. It's all depend to the judge to accept. It all depend to the judge. So I went to the court, and the judge told them that you can't tell somebody that there's never in the history, there's nobody. Even the witnesses said, Jane, which was a pastor in MCMT, said, it's only me, I know I'm a lesbian, yeah. The other people, except you have a relationship with somebody. Yes, because she said to them that immediately to her walk into my church, I know, and I don't accept anybody into that church except you're a lesbian or a gay. So the judge said, no, there's no good reason. You can't tell somebody to go to a nightclub. Anybody can go to a gay nightclub and say, I'm a gay. You can't tell somebody to go to a gay nightclub just because they want to prove who they are. I can be a lesbian, but I don't go to a nightclub. I can keep my relationship very quiet with my partner and enjoy ourselves. Not that I have to go to a nightclub to prove to immigration that I am a lesbian. So it wasn't accepted, and I was granted. I was granted November 2019 as a lesbian, yeah.
I'm in Africa, so I have a question to you. How do you feel when you go back? Whenever I go there, I'm not out. I have to hide who I am when I work with my clients. And I wonder if there's something you could share with me and with other people who actually are going and working in Africa.
To be sincere, I don't think going to Cameroon is impossible for me. I can't go to Cameroon. That's really true. I can't go to Cameroon because I'm not eligible to go to Cameroon as a lesbian because they know that I'm a lesbian. Going to Cameroon means that I will be hiding, and I cannot live a life of hiding. I'm not the type of person that will be sitting quiet in a spot. I'll be like a spy, going to somewhere hiding, and people will be like, who is this person? So I will not be living that life. I will not be open, So it will be so hard for me to even have a relationship, open up and go to public. So I'll put myself in danger. Yeah.
How do I feel when I go back to Africa? It's obviously nice to go home, but I'm overcome by sadness by what I see, and especially how much a lot of people are suffering, but they don't know the cause of their suffering. So yeah, I do feel sad, but I usually have very nice holidays when I go back to Kenya, but there are some things that really, so things affect me. In terms of homosexuality is really interesting because like some of you, I think some people have seen my comedy, and some of you already know that my tribe, we have a history of women marrying other women. And like my great grandma, she had 4 wives. And so it's very weird, but they never saw it as homosexuality. So like if somebody came and said, I'm a lesbian, I think they would look at you really funny. But if you're a woman and you say you want to marry other women, that is perfectly acceptable. But if you say that you're a lesbian, it's not acceptable. So it's weird because I think the colonialists created that if you like, the elephant in the room and say, this is it. If you're this, that's not acceptable. So, Africa is very interesting because obviously we were colonized by different people, and how all these laws, they're the ones that made it illegal for people to be, to be, and also we didn't talk about sexuality. People just got on with it. But nobody really talked about sexuality until the British wrote the laws to say that, categorically saying that it is abomination to be same sex, basically, and they outlawed it. But to this day, Gikuyu women still marry other women, but they don't have that label. They don't need to come out and say I'm gay. They don't. They are. So yeah, it's really interesting that those gray lines that already exist. Do I know gay people in Kenya? I do, and I think Kenya is a little bit more liberal when it comes to that element. But there's still a lot of discomfort when people are talking about homosexuality because it was made such a big thing. That the moment you talk about it, people are like, because it was made such a big thing. But if you look at the history of Africa, genders were fluid and roles were fluid before colonialism. And it's the colonialism that introduced inequality. Because like a lot of tribes in Africa are matrilineal. So women were regarded in very high esteem. And so the destruction of these cultures, the destruction of this freedom, the destruction of everything is quite painful for me to see when I go back. But I try to see the positive side of things, and not to focus too much of this. But since it's Black Month, and I'm very interested in history, so I like to share my wisdom, my knowledge. But I went to school with a girl. She had 3 mothers, and it was quite normal. Nobody villainized her or anything. She was seen as normal, but you would never put that brand of homosexuality on them because they were just normal. It's weird, really weird.
Njambi, that's fascinating. So if your grandmother had 3 wives, did she also have to have a husband, or was she allowed just to have wives, or was there expectation that you do both?
No, so basically these alpha women, because my tribe were matrilineal, so like I am a clan called Washera, which is so basically we have a creation story. The first man was Gikuyu, his wife was Mumbi, and they gave birth to 9 daughters, and those 9 daughters are matriarchs, so we belong to those matriarchs. So women can take wives, so if they decide they don't want a husband, they can take wives, and all they would have to do is they would go and tell their parents that I found someone, and they don't care who that someone is, and they would basically want to know, do you love them? Are you being forced to marry this person? That's all that mattered. And then you'd have to pay dowry depending on who is marrying who. They'd have to pay dowry, as if even in sort of heterosexual relationship, to pay dowry. But this woman, she's an alpha male, so she is respected in the same way as, say, for example, a rich man with 5 wives. She would have the same respect because she is a rich woman with 5 wives. And when they wanted to have children, these women never actually wanted to have children of their own. Their wives are the ones that had children. And what the wives did was they would, say, for example, speak to a friend and say, I want to have a baby. Can you? Can we get together for the purpose of having a baby, with the understanding that you're not really the father and you're not going to be involved because I'm in a marriage of women, and they would be okay with it, and they would have nothing to do with the family. So their role was just to basically help them out in terms of, but also men did this. So for example, if a man was impotent, he could ask a friend to come and impregnate his wife for him because he's impotent. So there was that fluidity, yeah. So there was that fluidity, and so that's what those women did. So like my great grandmother was very well respected. She's got a town named after her. So when people think about her, they think of her as, whoa, an amazing woman, not by her sexuality or whatever.
This is really just more of a question to her, and very concerned about the case that you highlight there of immigration authorities not believing. And do you think perhaps it's an individual racism or individual prejudice on the part of those interviewers, or do you think that kind of disbelief in people's stories is a deliberate instrument of policy? Perhaps it's being passed down from the higher levels of management in the Home Office and the Immigration Service. I think that that's being used as an extra means of control to deny people a fair representation and a fair chance to put their case.
One person cannot judge you in this world. One person cannot say you are not this, you know. So there was a bit of discrimination in my case because it was a long-term case which I was even sent to detention twice. And this gave me a lot of trauma in my life. It gave me a lot of depression in my life. I was so depressed and I became so traumatized. Even sometimes when I want to talk my full story, it made me so emotional, so much. It's just that I said today, I'm going to keep it quiet because I don't want to take off my tears.
I would like to ask both of you, what can we do to show you our support? How can we make a difference?
Oh, okay, I got it now. I would say anything you can do to, well, I've gone through the bigger part of it. And I'm still getting, I got my stay not too long and I'm still struggling with life to build up my life, to build up, to become that light. Yeah, so I'm still getting that time to build up. I'm still trying to build up, thinking of even going to university to get my life back. It was really, it's a narrow road, but the bigger part has gone through, which I've got my stay, and I'm seeing things getting better and better. And there's one lady, I would say, I'm going to thank Kate. Kate has been so much into my life. I think she will tell you more about me. She's been so much into my life, financially, supportive, advice, everything. She's been so much in my life. You know, one person in your life that stood like a pillar. She's a rock in my life, who always carry my hand and say to her, I don't want you to stay hungry. I don't want you to stay like this. I don't want you to be depressed. I don't want you to sleep without food, without drinking. It's really, in this country, somebody like that into your life, it's like my own mother that had me. You know, she made me feel, I've lost my both parents. I don't have parents. You know, I've suffered so much. So anything you can do, I'll be grateful. Anything, I'll be so grateful. And I'll be much appreciate any support that can help. I'll be grateful. Thank you.
Well, I'm emotional when people reach out to us because we haven't been believed for such a long time. And it makes me so sad that nobody heard my grandmother's story. Nobody listened to her. The torture that they encountered. I used to ask my mother, what was your child like? And she said starvation, because they starved them. And those who are weak, they just passed. And the best you can do is give us a platform so we can talk about our trauma, because people don't understand where their privilege has come from. It has come from the back of people like her. For 70 years, she spent her life working for free. She was forced to work for the British, digging trenches and cultivating, and they never got paid. My grandmother was never able to look after her children because she had to give her free labor. My mother was the same. You know, as a child, as an 8-year-old child, she was out looking for food to feed her family. What can you do? Just amplify our stories. Because I don't cry a lot when I talk about this, but I wanted people to know my mother's story, and I want to be the spokesperson for the women that died and were unable to feed their babies. And those people, they haunt me. I know, I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize, Njambi. Please don't apologize for crying.
Yeah. So all these mothers, they haunt me, and all you can do is amplify this, and just you're believing in us, and that matters a lot. And because like my mother, just before she died, I could see that she was so relieved to have offloaded her story to me, because nobody ever listened to them. They gave them, they were so traumatized. And all you can do is give us a platform to tell our stories. And I feel that, and I don't think I'm not scared. I am scared. I'm really scared, because the environment currently, and Kemi, or whatever her name is a very frightening woman. She has said that all of this colonial history, and she said it's against the law to talk about, for people to talk about white privilege and all of that. And it's scary, because, we have these stories to tell. We cannot go away. We cannot pretend we don't have these stories. So if anybody wants to support me, tell everybody about my book. Give the voice to my mother, give the voice to my grandmother, the women that were denied humanity. And all for what? All for what?
Thank you very much for telling us about your mother and your grandmother, because we didn't know about it, but I didn't know about it. And we will be keep giving you platform, and we will want to hear more stories. We will definitely want to know more and find ways of supporting you. Tua, as soon as we can go out there and get together, you're coming with us.
Yes, yeah.
We have a comment here as well on Zoom. If you want to, Yolanda.
Okay, yeah, it was just to Njambi. Can you hear me, Njambi? Yeah. I just want to say thank you for your bravery, and I feel really moved when I listen to you. And as somebody that has white privilege, I think you're absolutely right. I think we need to be listening. And I really like the fact that you said that it's listening to the trauma that can help the healing. And I know that there was a moment of discomfort around, the comedy tragedy element. And when Clara said, I know it's difficult because they're hosting, and can we keep this light? But I thought, you know what, when you said what you said after that, I just felt that you really held your truth, and this stuff is uncomfortable to hear, and we do need to hear it. And so thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But you guys have been really supportive, and thank you so much for always having me, because it means a great deal to me to just have a group of people believe in you. That's great.
To finish off, because we're going to finish off now, to say a massive thank you to everybody who's come in the real live event. I also wanted to thank everybody that has logged in on the online event. It just is a real first for us that we've been able to sort of integrate both. And it was a real thing that was important for us to do. And we're going to get it better and better every time we do it. But I think that this is what the funding was all about. The funding was to try and make sure that we make our sort of communities connect, and that people really felt that they could connect with everyone, and that COVID and the lockdown instructions that they actually still had a place. So that was why we wanted to do it, and I wanted to thank all of the funders again. That is the London Community Response for giving us this, because it really is truly.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for everyone sharing the story. Thank you, Imak and Njambi, and
to everybody.
Have a lovely evening, and thank you so much. Bye. Bye.